Imagine a moment in your life. You're standing there, your heart pounding, your breath heavy, trying to shout to defend yourself. Maybe it's a false accusation from a colleague, a misunderstanding from a loved one, or just some ridiculous lie that cuts you to the core. I've been there. I shouted, I argued. I tried to prove that I wasn't the person they claimed I was. But do you know what happened? The more I shouted, the smaller I felt. The more I explained, the more exhausted I became. Then one day I stopped, and everything changed. Have you ever felt tired of chasing validation? Of trying to explain yourself to people who don't want to listen? If the answer is yes, then this video is for you. Today we're going on a journey not to fight, not to scream, but to find strength in silence. This is not a story about enduring or bowing down. This is a story about standing firm, unmoving like a mountain, and letting the world spin around you. I will take you through 7 lessons from Stoicism, the ancient philosophy that helped great minds like Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus overcome war, suffering, and the pettiness of life. They didn't just survive, they thrived. And today I'm going to show you how to do the same. From cruel lies to heartbreaking betrayal. From relentless provocateurs to those who only recognize your worth once you're gone, we will explore the situations where silence is not just a choice but a weapon to reclaim your power. Don't leave just yet. Stay until the end because the 7th lesson will make you see your entire life in a completely new way. Grab a cup of coffee, sit back, and let's begin this journey together. Are you ready to stop chasing and start living? We often think of silence as passive, as weakness, a surrender. But let me tell you a truth that Stoic philosophers understood thousands of years ago. Silence is not the absence of action, it is action. It is how you say, "I'm not playing this game," without uttering a word. It is how you stand firm in the middle of a storm and refuse to be swept away. Imagine you're at a social gathering. Someone deliberately takes a jab at you, a sly remark, a smirk filled with intent. What is your instinct? To snap back, to prove them wrong, to raise your voice so everyone knows the truth. I used to do that. But then I learned something: when you react, you hand them control. You become a puppet in someone else's play. But when you stay silent, you're the one holding the strings. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor who faced wars and revolts, once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Think about that for a moment. You cannot stop people from lying, insulting, or betraying you, but you can decide whether or not those things shake you. Silence is how you say, "I am not controlled by your theatrics." Modern psychology agrees. Psychologists call this emotional control. When you don't react, you force others to face themselves. They want you angry, they want you to argue because that gives them a sense of victory. But when you refuse, when you remain calm like a still lake, they become unsettled. They lose their footing. And that is when you hold the power. Today we're going to explore 7 situations where silence is not just survival, it's victory. From cruel lies to people who try to drag you down, each lesson will be a step toward living true to yourself without regret. Are you ready? Let's begin. Situation 1. When they lie about you, don't chase the lies, karma will judge. Imagine waking up one day and suddenly feeling like the world around you has distorted. Someone, a colleague, an acquaintance, or even someone you once trusted has spread a lie about you. Maybe they claim you cheated, stole, or did something shameful you never even thought of. Your heart pounds, your blood rushes to your head, and every fiber of your being screams, "Do something. Prove the truth." I've been there. I've thrown myself into pointless battles, trying to shout louder than the lies, only to realize I was digging my own grave. But then I stopped because karma, the eternal law of life, taught me an unforgettable lesson. Seneca, the great Stoic philosopher, once said, "Truth does not need you to shout for it to exist." Let that sink in. Lies are like seeds scattered on the ground. They may sprout quickly, spreading like weeds, but without water, they wither and die. And do you know who holds the watering can? You, when you react, when you argue, when you rush to explain yourself, you unknowingly nurture the lie. You give it life, you make it a bigger monster, and worst of all, you hand power to the one who planted the seed. But when you remain silent, you cut off the water supply. You let karma do its work, and it always does without fail. Think about this logically. Liars don't care about the truth. If they did, they wouldn't have created the lie in the first place. What do they really want? They want you shaken. They want you emotional. They want to drag you into a swamp where every step you take only sinks you deeper. They're not seeking justice, they're seeking control. And every word you say, every effort you make to defend yourself, proves they've already won. But karma never sleeps. It is an unforgiving mirror reflecting every action, every intention without bias. The liar may laugh today, but that laughter will fade when their own lies come back to destroy them. I once knew someone, let's call him Tom. He was falsely accused at work. Someone spread a rumor that he stole ideas to get ahead. The gossip spread like wildfire, impossible to contain. Colleagues started giving him suspicious looks. Whispers followed him everywhere. Tom wanted to fight back, to scream his innocence. I saw him clench his fists, his face burning with anger. But then he did something most people wouldn't dare to do. He stayed silent. He didn't explain. He didn't argue. He continued his work, unfazed, as if nothing had happened. And you know what? A few months later, the truth revealed itself. The person who spread the rumor was exposed when they got caught in another lie. Tom never had to say a word. Karma spoke for him. The people who once doubted him came back to apologize, but he only smiled because he knew the truth does not need him to defend it. It knows how to survive on its own. Why is silence so powerful in this situation? Because it breaks the liar's cycle. They expect you to react, that's their fuel. But when you refuse, you don't just protect your dignity, you allow karma to work without interference. Imagine a lie as a stone thrown into a lake. It creates ripples. But if no one stirs the water further, the waves will settle. The liar may keep throwing stones, but soon they'll tire themselves out, and those very stones will eventually sink and trap them. This is not wishful thinking, it is natural law. You reap what you sow, no one escapes. So what should you do when someone lies about you? Don't chase after it. Don't argue. Don't lower yourself into their swamp. Take a deep breath, look them in the eye if necessary, and stay silent. Focus on what you know is true about yourself. Your integrity is not defined by their words, but by the way you live. Then walk away and let time and karma do their job. I once tried this when someone spread false rumors about me. I wanted to fight back, but instead, I chose silence. A year later, that person came to apologize, not because I demanded it, but because life forced them to face the truth. The next time this happens to you, try staying silent for 24 hours. You'll see the liar get tangled in their own web, and you'll realize one thing: karma is never late. Situation 2. When they betray you, don't beg for loyalty. Karma will collect. Nothing cuts deeper than betrayal. A friend who once shared secrets with you now speaks ill of you behind your back. A lover who once swore eternal devotion suddenly turns away without explanation. A trusted family member sells you out for their own gain. I've been there. The pain is like a blade, and my first instinct was to scream, to demand answers, to beg them to understand what they had broken. But then I realized betrayal is a seed they plant themselves, and karma is the relentless harvester. Epictetus, the great Stoic master, once said, "You only lose what you cling to." Let that statement pierce through your defenses. When someone betrays you, they don't just break your trust, they place themselves into a cycle of karma that no amount of pleading from you can change. They have made their choice, and in their mind they have justified it. Maybe they believe it was necessary, fair, or even your fault. Confronting them, arguing, begging for loyalty, it's like pouring water into a dry well, pointless and self-destructive. Face this truth head on. The betrayer does not care about your pain. If they did, they wouldn't have stabbed you in the first place. What do they really want? They want peace of mind. They want your forgiveness so they don't have to face the consequences. But karma does not operate based on emotions. It is a cold, precise, and incorruptible force. You don't need to scream for justice because justice was set in motion the moment they chose to betray you. Their actions are arrows they fired themselves, and sooner or later those arrows will turn back and pierce them. I once had a close friend, let's call him Mike. We shared everything: dreams, fears, and even our worst days. But then I found out he had been bad-mouthing me to others, even using my trust to get what he wanted. I wanted to slam the table, to scream in his face, "Why me?" I imagined him begging for forgiveness, admitting his mistakes. But instead, I chose a different path. I stayed silent. I didn't call, I didn't text, I didn't explain. I closed that door and walked away. 3 months later, Mike reached out, his voice shaky, filled with regret. He said he hadn't been able to sleep since, haunted by what he had done. But I didn't need his apology. Life had already delivered it for me. Karma didn't need my help to do its job. Why is silence the answer in this situation? Because it severs the string that betrayers use to pull you back in. They expect you to fight, to beg, because that gives them a chance to justify, to shift blame, or worse, to keep controlling you. But when you refuse, when you walk away without a word, you leave them alone with the weight of their actions. Karma does not need an audience. It works in the dark, in the long nights they can't sleep, in the moments they realize no one trusts them anymore. You don't need revenge. Life will handle that precisely and without mercy. Imagine this. Every time you are betrayed, it's like a seed planted in the ground. You can stand there watering it with your tears and anger, letting it grow into a tree that crushes you. Or you can walk away, letting that seed rot in the soil, forgotten and unattended. I've tried both. The first time I argued, I cried, I begged, and I only prolonged my own suffering. The second time I stayed silent, I left, and I watched the betrayer collapse under the weight of their own mess. When someone betrays you, don't beg for loyalty. Don't lower yourself to cling to something already broken. Stand up, close the door, and let karma reclaim what they owe you. Write the name of someone who has betrayed you on a piece of paper, then tear it up, not because you hate them. Situation 3. When they insult you, don't give them satisfaction. Karma will reflect. Who among us has never been insulted? A sarcastic remark slipped into a conversation, a pointed comment that makes you want to stand up and fight back, or a direct attack that makes your blood boil. I've been there, heart pounding, fists clenched, ready to launch into a war of words to defend my honor. But then I realized, insults are not random arrows. They are traps set intentionally, and the person setting the trap is waiting for you to fall in. If you respond, you lose. If you stay silent, karma will step in for you. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor who faced enemies both on the battlefield and in politics, once wrote, "The best revenge is to be unlike your enemy." Let that statement hit your mind like a hammer. When someone insults you, they don't care about truth or dignity. What do they want? They want you angry. They want you to lose control. They want to drag you down to their level so they can laugh and say, "I got them." But karma is a mirror that cannot be distorted. It reflects every word, every intention, and no one can escape the sight of their own reflection. Let's analyze this sharply. The insulter does not throw words to seek justice. They do it to feed their own fragile ego. Every cruel remark is a stick they hold up, hoping you'll jump so they can strike you down. And if you respond, you give them satisfaction, you give them power. You become part of the performance they scripted. But when you stay silent, you break the script. You don't just refuse to play the game, you force them to hit themselves with the same stick they raised. Karma doesn't need you to do anything, it only needs you to step out of the line of fire, so they shoot themselves instead. I once attended a gathering where someone smirked at me and said, "Are you still clinging to that dead-end job?" I felt the heat rise to my face, ready to retort that I was proud of my work, that they had no right to judge me. But then I stopped. I smiled, shrugged, and changed the topic. Do you know what happened next? They were silent for the rest of the evening, their face stiff from not getting the reaction they wanted. A few months later, I heard they got into trouble for making similar thoughtless remarks to the wrong person. I didn't have to do anything, karma had already handled it. Why is silence the ultimate weapon here? Because it exposes the truth the insulter is trying to hide. They are weaker than they pretend to be. They need your reaction to feel powerful, to cover up their own insecurities. But when you refuse, when you maintain your dignity and refuse to stoop to their level, you force them to face their own reflection. The words they throw don't disappear, they come back, sharper than before, piercing into their own reputation. I've seen this happen over and over. People who love to insult others always end up ruining their own image, not because anyone fights back, but because their own words plant the seeds of their downfall. Imagine every insult as a stone thrown at you. You can pick it up and then throw it back, starting a never-ending battle. Or you can let it drop to the ground untouched and walk past it. I've tried both. The first time I responded and I only prolonged my own anger, giving them more chances to mock me. The second time I stayed silent and I watched them stumble over their own pettiness. When someone insults you, don't give them satisfaction. Count to 10 in your head, stay calm, and let karma reflect the truth. They may laugh today, but that laughter will fade when life forces them to face themselves. Situation 4. When they play the victim, don't join the drama. Karma will expose them. Some people turn life into a stage. They are always the victim, always hurt, always misunderstood, even though they are the ones causing the chaos. I once knew someone like that. They cried. They complained that I had hurt them, all because I had simply held them accountable for their mistakes. I wanted to shout and expose their deception, to prove that I was not the villain they painted me to be. But then I chose silence and I realized karma doesn't need me to be an actor in their play. Epictetus once said, "Do not fuel deception with your reaction." Let that statement cut through your anger. People who play the victim don't want the truth, they want attention. They turn their tears into weapons, twist the story to make you the aggressor while they sit there, pretending to be weak. But here's what they don't understand. Karma is not fooled by tears or complaints. It sees through every mask, and it always collects what is due without mercy. Let's break this down logically. A fake victim is not looking for justice, they are looking for an audience. They need you to argue, to explain, to fight back, so they can point at you and say, "See, I told you I was the victim." Every reaction you give is another scene in their performance. The more you engage, the more you become the villain in the story they've crafted. But when you stay silent, you walk off the stage. You leave them alone with their script, and without an audience, the play cannot go on. Karma will do the rest because lies cannot hide forever from reality. I once knew someone who always played the victim. Every time they were questioned, they cried, saying I was too harsh, that I didn't understand them. I tried to explain, I tried to show the truth, but the more I spoke, the more I was seen as the aggressor. Eventually, I stopped. I didn't react. I didn't argue. I just stayed silent and continued living my life. Over time, people around us began to see the pattern. This person was always the victim, always had a new tragic story to tell. The truth revealed itself not because I exposed them, but because their own actions planted the seeds of their downfall. One day they came to apologize, not because I demanded it, but because no one believed them anymore. Karma didn't need me to lead the way, it found its own path. Why is silence the best response? Because it breaks the cycle of manipulation they rely on. They expect you to jump in so they can continue their performance, but when you refuse, you force them to face the emptiness of their own lies. Karma does not care about fake tears or dramatic storytelling. It looks at actions, at true intentions. And when they sow seeds of deception and manipulation, they will eventually reap isolation and distrust from those who once believed them. I've seen this happen countless times. Those who play the victim always expose themselves, not because someone calls them out, but because life forces them to pay the price. Think of it this way: every time they play the victim, it's a script they write for themselves. You can step onto the stage, argue, and keep the performance going. Or you can sit back, stay silent, and let them perform alone until the audience walks away. I've tried both. The first time I engaged and all it did was exhaust me and give them more chances to manipulate. The second time I stayed silent and I watched them crumble when no one clapped anymore. When someone plays the victim, don't join their drama. Stay calm, walk away, and let karma reveal the truth. They may fool a few people today, but no one deceives the laws of life forever. Situation 5. When they don't value you, don't beg for attention. Karma will teach them. There is nothing more painful than realizing that you are not appreciated. You give your time, your emotions, your support. You put your whole heart on the table, only to be met with indifference, dismissal, or worse, complete neglect. I've been there, trying to prove my worth, trying to make others see that I deserve love, that I deserve attention. I chased after them like a thirsty wanderer in the desert, only to realize that I was draining myself. But then I learned karma never forgets anyone, and it will teach the indifferent a lesson I don't even need to speak. Seneca once said, "Your value does not depend on the eyes of others." Let that sentence hit you like a punch. Your value is a fire that burns within you. No one can extinguish it unless you pour the water yourself. But when you beg for attention, when you chase after people to prove your importance, you don't just dim that fire. You tell the world that you are not enough without their gaze. The harsh truth is, people only value what they fear losing. And when you stay silent, when you walk away, you plant the seed for karma to act. Look at the nature of this situation. Those who don't value you are not blind, they choose not to see. They take you for granted because you are always there, always available, always giving without demanding. They don't appreciate you because they assume you will never leave. But karma is a strict teacher. It doesn't teach with words, but with loss. When you stop chasing, when you withdraw without a single explanation, you force them to face your absence. And it is that absence that will be the blade they unknowingly stab themselves with. I used to do everything for a group of friends, organize meetups, listen to them through long nights, always be the first to offer help. But when I struggled, when I needed someone by my side, no one showed up. I called, I texted, but all I received in return was cold silence. I wanted to scream, to ask why they treated me that way. But then I stopped. I stopped calling, I stopped texting, I stopped showing up. I remained silent and walked away. And you know what? Only a few of them reached out later, asking where I had gone, saying they missed me. But by then I had already realized I didn't need their attention to know who I was. And those who never asked, they went on living, but I heard they started losing others too, because their own indifference had sown the seeds of loneliness. Why is silence the most powerful response here? Because it forces others to face the mirror of karma without you shielding them. They expect you to keep giving, to keep chasing. That's how they maintain control. But when you refuse, when you leave them alone with the emptiness they created, you let karma step in. They will feel the loss. Not today, not tomorrow, but it will come. I've seen it happen. People who once took me for granted now live with regret. Not because I blamed them, but because life itself taught them that no one stays forever if they are not appreciated. Think of this as a field. You plant seeds of kindness, of support, but they don't water it, don't nurture it. They only come to pick the fruit when they please. You can keep planting, keep waiting for them to change, or you can walk away, let the field dry up, and let them wonder why there are no more sweet fruits. I've tried both. The first time I stayed, I begged, and I only hurt myself more. The second time, I walked away, and I watched them face the consequences without me saying a word. When someone doesn't value you, don't beg for attention, withdraw, stay silent, and let karma teach them the lesson you don't need to. They will learn, not from you, but from the very loss they created themselves. Situation 6. When they provoke you, don't let them control you. Karma will crush them. There will always be people who enjoy provoking you. They throw out taunts, sneaky remarks, and petty actions just to see you lose your temper. I've fallen into that trap before, heart pounding, voice shaking, ready to fight just to defend my peace. I thought responding was the only way to uphold my dignity. But then I realized provocation is a game, and the provocateur only wins if you play along. When you stay silent, karma rises and takes them down without you even lifting a finger. Marcus Aurelius once said, "They only have power if you give it to them. Let that sink into your chest like a blade." Provocateurs don't care about truth or justice, they want control. They want to see you lose your cool, to make you their puppet, dancing to every insult they throw. Every time you react, you hand them a victory, not because they are right, but because they dragged you down to their level. But karma is an unforgiving fighter. It doesn't need you to wield the sword. It knows exactly how to strike down its enemies. Look deeper into the nature of provocation. These people aren't as strong as they pretend to be. They are weak, and their weakness is hidden behind sharp words and deliberate actions meant to trigger you. They need your reaction to feel important, to cover up the emptiness inside them. But when you remain silent, you strip away that mask. You leave them standing alone in the ring, no opponent, no audience, and that loneliness itself is the punch that karma delivers. They plant the seeds of conflict, and they will reap failure when no one wants to be around them anymore. I once had an acquaintance who always tried to get under my skin. In every conversation, they'd throw subtle jabs. "Oh, you think you're better than everyone," or "Don't assume people actually care about you." I felt the heat rise in me, the urge to shout back that I didn't need their approval. But then I stopped. One day when they tried again, I just smiled, nodded, and continued with my day. They tried a few more times, but without a reaction, they got bored. A few months later, I heard that people had distanced themselves from them because of their constant negativity. I didn't have to do anything. Karma did it for me, swiftly and without mercy. Why is silence the ultimate weapon? Because it breaks the energy that provocateurs feed on. They expect you to jump, to argue. That's how they fuel their ego. But when you refuse, you leave them punching at the air, exhausting themselves. Karma doesn't need your involvement. It sees the seeds they sow, and it ensures they reap exactly what they deserve. I've seen people who thrived on provocation end up isolating themselves, not because someone fought back, but because their own negativity pushed everyone away. Imagine every provocation as an arrow shot at you. You could raise your shield, charge into battle, and prolong a fight that never needed to happen. Or you could stand still, let the arrow fall to the ground, and walk past it. I've tried both. The first time I fought back and all it did was drain me, giving them more fuel to mock me. The second time I stayed silent and I watched them stumble when they had no one left to fight. When someone provokes you, don't let them control you. Take 3 deep breaths, stay calm, and let karma do the work. They may provoke today, but they will fall tomorrow, not by your hand, but by the consequences of their own actions. Situation 7. When they regret losing you, don't go back, let karma finish it. Let's talk about that moment when someone realizes they've lost you. They once took you for granted, treated you like an option instead of a treasure. They walked past you without a second thought until you disappeared. And then they return with apologies, with tears, with promises to change. I've been there before, my soft heart wanting to believe that they truly regretted it. But then I learned, karma does not forgive lateness, and those who didn't value you the first time don't deserve a second chance. Epictetus once said, "Freedom is knowing when to let go." Let that sink deep into your soul. When someone regrets losing you, it's not love or appreciation, it's selfishness. They're not coming back for you, they're coming back for the emptiness your absence left behind. But karma is an unforgiving storyteller. It writes the final chapter for every action, and no one can rewrite the last page. They planted the seeds of neglect, and now they are harvesting loneliness. You don't need to punish them, life has already done it for you. You look at this truth head on. If they truly valued you, they wouldn't have let you go in the first place. They assumed you would always be there, always waiting, always ready to forgive. But when you stay silent, when you walk away without a word, you force them to face consequences they cannot escape. Karma doesn't need you to explain, it just needs you to let go so it can strike. They will feel the loss, not because you remind them, but because life itself will force them to look into the broken mirror they created. I once loved someone who treated me as their second choice. I gave everything, my time, my love, my patience, but they only took, never giving back. I thought that if I tried harder, they would finally see my worth. But one day I stopped. I didn't argue, I didn't beg, I just walked away. No goodbye, no drama. Months later they called, their voice shaking, saying they regretted it, saying they couldn't live without me. But I didn't go back, not because I hated them, but because I knew they didn't regret losing me, they regretted losing what I gave them. Karma took care of the rest. I later heard they were still alone. Not because I cursed them, but because their own indifference had sown the seeds of their loneliness. Why is silence the most powerful way to end things? Because it leaves a mark without a single word. They expect you to beg them to stay, to open the door when they knock. That's how they maintain control. But when you refuse, when you leave them alone with their regret, you let karma write the final chapter. They will live with long nights of wondering, empty days of self-blame, not because you punished them, but because their own actions led them there. I have seen this happen. People who once took me for granted now live in regret, not because I sought justice, but because karma never forgets. Imagine every time you were taken for granted as a seed they planted in the ground. You could stay, water it with forgiveness, and let them continue reaping the benefits without consequence. Or you could walk away, let that seed wither, and leave them to face their barren field alone. I have tried both. The first time I stayed and I only prolonged my pain, giving them more chances to undervalue me. The second time I walked away and I watched them collapse under the weight of their own regret. When someone regrets losing you, don't go back. Stay silent, move forward, and let karma finish the story. They will learn not from you, but from the consequences of their own choices. We've just walked through 7 crossroads in life's 7 situations where silence is not just an escape, but the fire that lights the path for you to live true to yourself. When they lie about you, we see that lies rot away when they are not fed by your reaction, and karma will judge the one who spreads them. When they betray you, we understand that loyalty cannot be begged for, but karma will claim justice from those who sowed the seeds of deceit. When they insult you, we realize that refusing to respond takes away their pleasure, allowing the mirror of karma to reflect the truth about them. When they play the victim, we learn that refusing to participate in their act allows their deception to collapse under its own weight. When they don't value you, we witness how your absence carves a lesson into them that karma ensures they will never forget. When they provoke you, we know that staying grounded makes them fall in their own game. And finally, when they regret losing you, we affirm that not going back is how karma writes the final chapter of what they have sown. Pause for a moment and reflect. Life is not a random sequence of chaotic events. It is a cycle of cause and effect, where every action, every word, and every intention plants a seed. You don't have to be the one wielding the sickle to reap the harvest. Nature will do it for you, precisely, impartially, and inevitably. Marcus Aurelius once said, "What must happen will happen. If not today, then tomorrow." This means you don't need to fight for justice. You don't need to shout to defend your honor. And you don't need to beg to be valued. Your silence is not weakness, it is your absolute trust in life's eternal law. What goes around comes around. But don't misunderstand, silence does not mean standing still and enduring. It is the most powerful action you can choose. The act of refusing to be dragged into petty games, refusing to let others define you, and refusing to waste energy on what is undeserving. At this stage in life, after having walked through sunny days and stormy nights, we understand that time is our most valuable asset. Why waste it on liars, traitors, or those who only take but never give? When you stay silent, you keep that energy for yourself to build, to love, to live a life without regrets. So, how do you apply this today? Try this small challenge in the next week. When someone annoys you, whether through a taunt, a rumor, or a provocation, choose silence. Not because you're losing, but because you know you don't need to win with words. Observe what happens. You will see them stumble over themselves, trip on their own actions, and face their consequences without you lifting a finger. I have tried this, and every time I am amazed at how quickly and precisely karma operates. You don't need to be the judge. Life has already taken care of that long ago. Let me leave you with this thought. Life is like a towering mountain. Some people will throw stones to block your way, others will dig holes for you to fall into. You can stop, pick up each stone to throw back, or fill in every hole. But you can also keep walking, stay silent, and let the stones roll back to crush those who threw them. Let the holes swallow those who dug them. The choice is yours, but I know you are wise enough to choose the path of least pain, the path that takes you higher without looking back. If what I shared today resonates with you, hit like so I know you're here. Share this video with someone who needs to hear this. Maybe they're struggling with one of these 7 situations, and this advice will be the light they've been searching for. Subscribe so we can continue this journey of discovering inner strength together. And in the comments, write, I choose silence. I want to hear your story, to know how you have turned challenges into victories. Thank you for spending this time with me. Now, go out there, live boldly, and let karma write the story of those who never deserved you. See you in the next video.